Now, let's take a look at the latest news from this January transfer window, because after the...
Transfer window? Nothing happened.
Hey.
Is it coming?
Well, it may well happen, but we were talking about it last week about how this January transfer window has been very slow. I mean, Jurgen Klopp's news certainly made it a little bit more spicy this January, shall we say, or a little bit more exciting. But actually, also the Jurgen Klopp news from yesterday overshadowed the Kalvin Phillips transfer.
Yeah.
He joined West Ham on loan yesterday. The England midfielder said he wants to add the quality that I know I'm capable of, he said, to the East London club after joining from Manchester City for the rest of the season. There is no option to buy, by the way, included in this deal. He signed a 6-year contract when he joined City from Leeds in a deal worth £45 million. That was in July of 2022. He's made just 2 starts and 16 total Premier League appearances in his 18 months at City. Before we get your thoughts, Cass, on this move for him, he struggled, as we mentioned, for game time under manager Pep Guardiola, and Pep said he feels a sense of responsibility for it not going well for Phillips at City.
If I give him 10, 15 games in a row, he will play good. I didn't give him to me. I feel so responsible for that.
Oh, very short and sweet there from Pep Guardiola. And yes, you can see why he's shouldering perhaps some of the blame for it, because he's the one that picks the team. And and for whatever reason, he hasn't felt as though Phillips has been right at this time for City. Like I said, there's no option for West Ham to buy for this loan deal, so he potentially can go back and maybe have a transformative period when he returns to City. Is this the right club, do you think, for Phillips to get his career back on track?
Well, if we rewind slightly, Phillips was a fantastic player for Leeds in the Championship and in the Premier League. He was brilliant for them. And England, by the way. Played at incredible Euros. Him and Declan Rice were superb in the middle. It begs the question of, should you go to the biggest club at the time that were winning everything and be second fiddle? Do you really think that's a forward way of thinking for your career? Because, yes, it comes with a lot more money, a longer contract, so you're safe financially, but you lose everything by not playing. I don't get when players go to clubs and then know that the best player in your position is you won't play with very little football.
Yeah.
I think it's a bad idea. I don't think you should do that. I think you should go, do you know what? I join a club where I know I'm going to play a lot more. Rodri was there. It was always going to be Rodri. He only plays one holding midfielder. He's only playing Rodri. And I think you've paid a price for it. Now, on the positive side for him, Kalvin Phillips, is now going to a club where the manager is quite open. It's his signing. He wants him. He's going to play him. And Pep Guardiola said a few words there that are absolutely spot on. If he'd have played 15 games in a row, which he never did, you'll see the best of Kalvin Phillips. Players cannot keep their fitness up by just sitting on benches. They can train their socks off. They can run around all day long, but you can't ever replicate what you need to do during a football match of 90 or 100 minutes. And I think you'll see the best of Kalvin Phillips as he plays more and more for West Ham this year, because he's a terrific footballer. I said before, harping on about Liverpool, I said Kalvin Phillips at Liverpool would have been a great, when they had players like Van Aldrum and he moving on, and Henderson and Milner, you're looking at them. I was thinking Kalvin Phillips would be a great signing for Liverpool at the time, the way they play. He's just, I think, took the option to go to the club that gave him the most money but very little football.
Let's talk about another player who has been linked with a move. Newcastle are reportedly ready to sell their number 9, Callum Wilson, for a cut price of £18 million, which has alerted the likes of Chelsea, Manchester United, West Ham as well. The two have already rejected a loan offer for the 31-year-old from Atletico Madrid, while AC Milan have also shown an interest.
Good player.
Lack of good strikers at the minute. We've talked about many a club wanting a striker. So, and we also...
Well, Chelsea are screaming for a striker.
Well, I was going to also say, Newcastle
one.
have spoken openly about the FFP situation and how they might have to sell before they can buy. There's talk of Joe Linton might have to move on in the summer if he doesn't agree a deal, for example, a new deal. What do you think about Callum Wilson?
Confident boy. He's a confident lad, Callum Wilson. He's got goals all his career. And some might say for the very, very top, and I think it's a bit unfair. Callum's got incredible strength. He leads the line brilliantly. He's quick, but not blisteringly quick, but he's quick. And I think he gives a lot to a team. And you look at his whole career. He's had 2 ACLs, by the way, now.
I know.
You know, 2 really bad injuries. And have you said to me, if Chelsea was to sign him, I mean, Chelsea do create chances and they are really screaming out for a centre-forward who can just finish chances. But then lots of clubs are. I think at 31, he'd be a bargain for 18 million.
I was about to say 18 million's a snip, really.
If you could get him for 18 million, I think there'd be a number of clubs that would definitely take him. You know, David Moyes would probably make the same point if he could have him. And yes, you're looking at a 31-year-old, but you're getting he can always give you minimum 10 goals. I mean, I know he's had his injuries along the way and some serious ones, but if he's playing regular, Callum Wilson always will get you goals.
They're in action tonight on talkSPORT, by the way. It's at 7 o'clock as they travel to Fulham in the FA Cup 4th round. I'm sure we'll talk more about those games to come, but just briefly on that, obviously this season has kind of gone quite according to plan for Newcastle. Obviously after the highs of last season and making the top 4. Is there extra pressure on Howe tonight, do you think, to deliver, especially with, you know, the talk of a trophy and how long it's been since they've won one?
Not extra pressure. Excuse me. I think it's just, you know, it's the season they've had is a bit like Klopp last year. You know, where you're going to have to be prepared to stay with it because he's done a hell of a job and there's been a lot of improvement and the squad is a far more, you know, look at the state of their squad now and yes, there's been investment. They were a really good side, Newcastle. They get all their players out there. They can stand and match a lot of sides in the Premier League. So I think stay with it and look, if they might get to the end of the season, have to have a rethink, but no way I wouldn't consider the manager at all. I think he needs to be at the helm and give them more opportunities next year to make good signings and improve the team again.